Okay, so here's what I had to do. I had to stop telling myself the lie that I'm not an artist and change the tape in my head to say something more like, I'm not a good artist yet. Welcome to KindQuest Games. If you've been following along, you'll know that I am a first time game developer. I'm 46 years old. Starting with my first game, well, I guess technically my second. My first game was way too big of a scope for me to take on by myself, so I've narrowed it down a little bit into a game that I'm developing called The Bastion. So I've gotten to the point in my game where I realized that if I'm going to be able to polish and reiterate some of the things I've already built, I'm going to need some assets. And I've never trained as an artist. I don't know a lot about color theory. I don't know a lot about shading. I don't know a lot about pixel art. But one thing I can do well is learn. And so I've started to watch YouTube tutorials. I've started to try to grasp some of these theories. And I've decided to make my own pixel art for my game. Part of that is a financial thing as well. I don't have enough money to pay a professional artist. If I did have enough money, I probably would. But there's also something kind of special about doing your own art. And it already felt like my game because I was developing it, but now it feels even more like my game and I have more investment into it because I am going through multiple iterations and failures of my art until I come out with something that I'm happy with. And man, when you get to that point when you come out with an asset that you're excited about, that's when you really start to enjoy something. So every asset that I've created, if you look at some of my old stuff that I first started doing, I look at it and I'm like, wow, this is not good at all. This is I cannot put this into a video game. But I kept at it, and kept progressing and I've developed some assets. Now I'm going to show you one. This is one of my enemies and it may not be perfect yet, but I feel like it's getting a lot better and it looks good enough on screen to me for me to be encouraged to keep moving forward. And I guess that's part of the realization. I don't have to wait for perfect assets, right? I can improve these assets while I build the game. My game is really coming along. It's really starting to get there. I'm almost to the point, I'd say maybe, I don't know, 2 months away. I hesitate to give a timeline because you know how those can get away from you. But I'm like 2 months away from what I would call like maybe the first big slice of the game, like the first, like getting into the game, playing a few waves, encountering a boss, and selecting some upgrades. It's starting to come together. It's pretty cool. So it's a great feeling. So I guess what I've learned through all this is that number one, you got to stop playing the tape in your head that you are not something. You just have to start. And you know what? You may realize that, yeah, I was right. I am no good at this. But how do you know if you don't start to put the work into it? How do you know if you don't try to make progress? And I guess that's one of the biggest lessons that I learned again. I feel like I learn this lesson constantly, but the lesson is that progress is better than perfection. If I can just make a little bit of progress, that's really encouraging to me. And I need to stop putting perfection on this pedestal of something that I need to achieve now. And let's be honest, when you're an artist, I'm sure many artists feel this way. I'm not, I've only been doing this for a limited amount of time, but I can imagine that you could go crazy, drive yourself crazy, thinking you have never reached that perfect place in your art. I just don't know if that's how it's supposed to be. So I got to take that perfection mentality down and I've got to put the mentality up of I am going to strive to make a little bit of progress today and make this look a little bit better. And I tell you what, I have my first original art now, which is a great feeling. And the Bastion is coming along. This game called The Last Bastion that doesn't exist anywhere yet except for in my head and portions of it on my computer. I mean, what a cool feeling, to know that something exists out there that you've created that I think is enjoyable to play so far. And I'm gonna try to make it even more enjoyable so that other people can jump onto this and be excited about it as well. So next up, I'm going to keep building some assets and I'm going to keep polishing this first slice of the game and get it to the point where it works properly, it works as intended, and it feels fun to play. And once I get that going, man, the sky's the limit, right? I can keep building into the game. I anticipate making the game at this stage probably about or not at this stage. I anticipate making the full scope of the game over the next few years to be about 25 hours in length. And I would hope that players would have a desire to come back and dump, 2x that amount or 3x that amount of hours into the game because they find it fun and enjoyable. So targeting maybe somewhere around somebody really enjoying this game at about 75 hours. We'll see what happens, right? These are just goals out there. So I'm curious if you've ever done something that has maybe scared you a little bit or you were a little concerned about and you just started anyway. Maybe it's game development, maybe it's doing your own art, building your own assets for games. What surprised you about that process? At what point were you like, wow, I can do this? I would love to hear some of your stories. It's always encouraging to me and to others who may read the comments to know that we're all kind of in the same boat. We're all just standing there looking at this thing in front of us that seems impossible. And yet when we step over the line and make a little progress, we start to realize that maybe that giant wasn't so big in front of us. I'd love to hear from you. I look forward to seeing you in the next one.